Yooka Laylee is being made by a lot of the same developers that brought us classics like Banjo-Kazooie, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Battletoads, and Donkey Kong Country. And it shows. We've played the first couple of hours of the game recently, so here are 7 ways Yooka Laylee will take you right back to your childhood. Probably one of the most standout things about Yooka Laylee from the get-go is its rather wonderful and often childish sense of humour, which in itself can feel sorely lacking in a lot of games nowadays. The fourth wall breaking jokes, the silly knowing references to other games, and even characters and locations that appear later in Yooka Laylee itself, it all feels like a Saturday morning cartoon show. Helped along by witty dialogue peppered with jokes and references just for the adults in the room. But you'd expect nothing less from a lot of the same minds behind Rare's bad-mouthed classic, Conker's Bad Fur Day. Pure escapism, but bring your own duvet fort and bowl of Cocoa Pops. Remember when you were a kid, playing through platformers like Super Mario Bros. And Donkey Kong Country, and those games seemed to last you for months on end? The one game you got for Christmas would keep you occupied until the summer holidays and beyond. Mostly because you didn't have the money to go out and buy more, so you'd squeeze every last drop of replayability out of a game that you possibly could. And those games gave you plenty of reason to keep coming back as well, with collectibles and extra tough challenges and secret areas only accessible with powers unlocked later in the game. Stuff that you want to play just for the fun of it. Yooka Laylee taps into all that good stuff, and it can be genuinely overwhelming stepping into a new world and seeing how many things there are to do. You can do as much or as little as you want, of course, but it's sure to keep determined players busy. Games from your childhood were often simplistic in design because of system limitations, but that didn't stop them from worming their way right into your heart. In fact, their simplicity was often what made them so memorable. Take their music, for example. Everyone remembers the Green Hill Zone or the Tetris theme. Everyone knows what sound Pac-Man makes when he dies. It's far too early to say whether Yooka Laylee will withstand a similar test of time, of course, but it taps into the same ideas with its jaunty, joyous world themes. Extra shout out to the fact that the music changes when you dive underwater, and the decision to forego voice acting entirely and use shorthand repeating sound effects accompanied with text boxes for each character instead. And often, these sound effects can do an amazingly effective job at conveying a character's personality, just like the right sound effect mapped to a particular move can make it all the more satisfying to pull off. There was a certain tone to a lot of games in the 90s that let you know their developers weren't afraid to have a little bit of fun. Pictures of their colleagues worked into games as Easter eggs, sly industry references, casual in-jokes. It gave the impression that developers felt free enough to experiment with their game, try new things, and make mistakes without worrying how much it was going to cost. And this was before mistakes could be patched out after the fact. Because Yooka Laylee was crowdfunded via Kickstarter, raising over £2 million, it freed itself from the constraints a lot of developers can feel when working with bigger publishers. And as a result, it definitely feels like a game that hasn't been developed via focus group testing. In fact, it even makes jokes about it. This can go either way, of course. Often publishers exist for good reason. They make sure projects work to schedule, and they can stop jokes from becoming a little bit too insular. But Yooka Laylee does have a lot of industry veterans on board, and it embraces its creative freedom wholeheartedly. As a result, it is pleasantly unpredictable. What other platformers break up your regularly scheduled gameplay with a silly multiple choice quiz? The thing about a lot of classic platformers like Donkey Kong Country is that underneath all the googly eyes and silly jokes, there are some tough as nails challenges. Timing is everything, and sometimes you'll forget to keep an eye on your health and then, boom, game over. Yooka Laylee is cut from the same cloth. It doesn't hold your hand, it trusts you to explore and decide where to go, and it doesn't point you in the direction of specific side quests, leaving you to figure out what you have to do by yourself. It's not just our childhoods. Yooka Laylee feels like it turns back the clock on the industry in many ways, to a time before online multiplayer and complex themes and cinematic storytelling. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, of course, but the beauty of a simple 3D platformer like this is, when you play it, you're only thinking about you and the next obstacle you're facing. Of course, as a kid, you probably had a lot more time to dedicate to figuring out how to overcome said obstacle. As an adult, you might not be so lucky. Better get good. No matter how old you are, there's something instantly wonderful about a sleazy, anthropomorphic snake salesman called Trouser. Yooka Laylee's characters are a likeable bunch of misfits. Laylee is perhaps the sassiest bat we've ever met. Dr. Quack is every evil henchman ever, except he's a duck's head in a jar. And there's one character who is literally a piece of wood called Clanker. Bonus points all round, of course, when these characters come with puntastic names, which they almost always do. Finally, like a lot of the games you grew up with, Yooka Laylee isn't perfect. We only played the first couple of hours, but we did notice some issues, particularly with regards to camera movement. It would quite often get stuck in place or snap to a particularly unhelpful angle. Traversal, jumping, and turning speed isn't always as precise as you'd like it to be either, which can really be a problem for a platformer. Thing is, like those games from your childhood, Yooka Laylee is a little rough around the edges, sure, but you probably won't care. When a game's heart is in the right place, as Yooka Laylee so evidently is, you might not mind that it lacks the same polish as a blockbuster title. As every kid's been told at least once when growing up, imperfections make us interesting. If you're looking for a technical marvel, this might fall short of expectations. But if you're looking to belly laugh at a silly fart joke, or watch a lizard and a goblin in a top hat break the fourth wall for the third time in 5 minutes, then this might just be the ticket. Are you looking forward to playing Yooka Laylee? What were your favourite childhood gaming memories? Let us know in the comments, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and maybe click on one of the videos on screen now if you're tempted to fall down a bit of a nostalgia rabbit hole. GoldenEye maybe? Ocarina of Time? I promise there's at least one classic in Late to the Party that you'll remember. Enjoy!